We welcome you inside Blanco Cocina and Cantina as we are ready for another edition of Dugout Chatter here on KDUS AM 1060. Braiden Bell joined alongside the head coach of ASU Baseball, Willie Bloomquist, and a lot to get to on the program today. Sean Fitzpatrick and Dominic Smaldino will be joining us in a couple of segments, but first, a lot to touch on as far as the week that was. A big rivalry series against the team down south, a series win against the Wildcats. Of course, that's always fun. A lot to talk about, a lot to unwrap about that series, and then a busy week ahead for the Sun Devils as well as they host Utah in Big 12 play this weekend. Willie, we'll start out with just the overall thoughts on the series win. 2 of 3 really easily could have been a sweep. It was one of those games on game 2 of that series that got away from you guys late, but overall, a series win is always a good thing, and especially against a rival in Arizona, and a convincing win in the third game of that series.
Yeah, it was nice to go down to, I don't want to say nice to go to Tucson. That's probably not the right terminology, but it was good to get out of there with the series win. Obviously, I'm greedy. We kind of gave that game away on Friday night. That it stings a little bit still, to be honest, but come home with the way our guys responded on Saturday and came back and beat the brakes off them on Saturday pretty good was good for us. Come home with some momentum, and we got a big week ahead. We have 6 games in 7 days starting tomorrow. That's going to be another tough grind for us, but I think after we discuss what happened Friday, and hopefully our guys come mentally ready to play on a consistent basis from here on out, hopefully that will be a learning thing for us, and we'll get better from it.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the schedule and what's to come later on in the program, but I wanted to ask you overall about the pitching staff because we saw a change to the rotation of the U of A series. Of course, we saw Taylor Penn get the ball in game 1 of the series, which happened to be Thursday due to the Easter holiday. Everything, of course, slid up by a day. Would have been the normal Friday start in terms of a series. Cole Carlon stayed in that quote-unquote Friday spot in pitching game 2 of that series. And then, of course, Cole Klecker got the ball in game number 3. But we saw Colin Lender pitch well out of the bullpen. Obviously, Cole's performance, which I want to ask you about more specifically in a moment, he was just phenomenal. But overall, it seemed like that rotation in terms of the Penn, Carlon, and Klecker 3, whatever the order may be, looked to be pretty good. Is that kind of what the plan is moving forward?
Yeah, I think that's the plan, at least in the near future. We'll keep Carlon on Friday. I think that's just will probably be a staple moving forward, even though with the shortened weeks that we have coming up here over the next month, we have, I think, two more series that start on Thursday. Going to be tough to move Carlon off of Friday. I think just he's comfortable there. I don't want to mess with him and his routine and what he's been doing. I think he's overall done a pretty good job there. So I want to keep him there. This weekend we'll go Carlon, and then T-Penn will go Saturday. I like having Klecker on Sunday, just having that veteran guy that's been there and done that several times to cap off the series on Sunday. He usually does a pretty good job there. So those 3 guys will remain in the rotation this weekend, and we'll see where that gets us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's talk more about Cole because you mentioned how he has been good in that Friday night spot, and that was really maybe the biggest shame of it all in that one loss to Arizona is it spoiled just his best performance maybe of his career thus far. 6 shutout innings, 12 Ks, and just 1 walk. He generated 33 whiffs in that game against Arizona, which is the most out of any pitcher in college baseball over last week. It just goes to show how nasty his stuff was. What about that performance stood out to you the most? Because he was in command and in the zone really from the first pitch to his last.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is I think they knew it was coming. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a big secret. He threw a lot of breaking balls, a lot of sliders that game. Unless you were living under a rock, you knew what pitch was coming. It's just they still flat out couldn't lay off of it. And to me, that was what was really impressive is knowing what pitch is coming, knowing his repertoire, having already seen him a time or two through the lineup, and he continues to throw the same pitches in there, and they just still can't make contact with it. That tells me that it's moving pretty good. It's breaking late. It's tough to pick up. He just did an outstanding job. It was a shame we didn't get the win for him.
Yeah, he was outstanding. He was in command the whole way through. And, of course, it wouldn't be a Territorial Cup without a little bit of drama as we're chatting here with ASU baseball coach Willie Bloomquist. A 15-6 win in that last game, and I guess there were some emotions about the style of play down the stretch in game number 3. Of course, we know in college baseball, and saw just the night before, there's no lead that's safe in this sport, no matter what the lead is. What can you tell us about that end-of-game stretch? Because it seemed like the Wildcats weren't too excited about the way it ended.
Yeah, and look, this is a great rivalry. There's always some sparks flying, and there's always going to be some tension. That being said, I have the utmost respect for Chip Hale. He's a good baseball guy, good man. He and I go back a long ways. Bottom line, we were up 6 in the ninth, and we had runners on first and second, and we bunted. And to me, that was that time of the game where, I wanted to try to get a few more runs, knowing the night before we had given up 7 in the 7th inning, and we had the right 2 guys to lead off that inning, get on base. We had our 9-hole hitter coming up with Hairston and, coming up behind him. So, we drag bunted. Their third baseman was way back. He took exception to it, and I didn't, at the end of the day, and it didn't work out, and we ended up scoring 3 runs that inning anyhow, and after the game was over, he asked, what the thought was there, what I was thinking there, and obviously he could tell I wasn't real happy, and I just said, look, man, we're trying to score runs. You guys scored 7 on us last night, and at the end of the day, we're trying to win a series, and he took exception to it. What I will say, again, is that Chip and I have a very good relationship. He was heated in the moment. I didn't think anything was wrong with it. He did in the moment. I will say that we have spoken since then. Hatchet is buried, and I said, listen, at the end of the day, man, I'm never going to intentionally run up a score on somebody. It's not my style. We're going to do everything we can to win a game, but it's not our style to rub someone's face in it, regardless how big the rivalry is, and I wouldn't do that. So all is well between us now at the moment, and at the end of the day, cooler heads prevailed, and we enjoy competing against each other, and that's just one of those heated moments that the rivalry brings out in us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And there's one more game, of course, between U of A and ASU that'll be up here a week from Monday. In terms of the Sun Devils and the Wildcats meeting for the 5th and final time in 2026. Of course, that's one we're going to look forward to. You mentioned it earlier, the busy week ahead at GCU, UNLV, in the midweeks this week, and then, of course, Utah at home in Big 12 play, and then that U of A game I just alluded to. You've talked a lot about the depth, not only of the hitters in this lineup, but also the pitching staff as a whole, just to have more guys that you can trust to throw quality innings when you need it. In terms of a schedule like this week where you're playing a game almost every single game, 6 games in 7 days, it seems like you're going to have to lean on that really more so than ever against some quality offenses in the process. Yeah,
we are, and we're going to definitely need the arms to step up this week, and guys that maybe haven't gotten as many innings as they want to, they're going to have to step up, and it's time for them to say, okay, here's your opportunity. This is when we need you. We're getting to the second half of the season, and we have pretty grueling stretch here coming up, and we're going to need guys to step up and play well and pitch well and throw strikes. There's guys that are definitely capable of doing it. It's just a matter of when the lights come on, can they do it or will they do it? And I'm confident in them. We'll start tomorrow night with Easton Barrett, who has shown to be very good here in the midweeks. We'll go with him tomorrow and get us off to a good start and see where the week takes us from there.
It's one of those things in a long week like this in terms of the amount of games. I know you said you start with Easton tomorrow. You've got the weekend starters in place, but it seems as though you as a head coach, as well as Jeremy, the pitching coach, Jeremy Accardo, you've got to just kind of piece it together the rest of the way as it goes on. You can have a good plan, but of course things can change as games goes on. How much are you able to kind of strategize or get things together as a plan moving into at least the midweek games?
Well, we have an idea of who we want to use and what capacity we want to use them, meaning we want to, in a perfect world, keep guys somewhat short so we have them available for the weekend. But on the same token, we got to win games too. So if there's a situation to where we have to ride a guy a little longer than we wanted to because he's throwing it well and it's a tight game and we got to win that sucker, then hey, it is what it is. You win today, worry about tomorrow. That's kind of what it looks like in our shoes. But we do know we have a lot of options, which is good. We have Jaden Alba ready there. We have Eli Buxton. We have Fitzy. We have a ton of length, back there. The guys that Brady Lauk that we haven't seen a ton of that's throwing the ball better lately. Just a whole lot of guys that are able to eat up innings for us if we need them to. And we'll see where it takes us. And then, of course, we get to the back end of a game. We still have Finn Edwards, we got Schaaf, we got those type of guys that can put the game away if we need to use them. But end of the day, whatever it takes to win games.
Just trying to win games for sure. Segment 1 here of Dugout Chatter, as we are joined here by head coach Willie Bloomquist. One more for you, Coach, here in the first segment. In terms of center field, I know that's a hot position, of course. Everyone always keeps an eye on the center fielder, and there have been a couple of shuffles throughout the last couple of weeks in terms of trying to find the right guy for that spot, not only defensively, but a bat that's consistent in the lineup. We saw Dean Tuego start there in Game 3 of the U of A series for the first time. We saw Landon start there against West Virginia as well. Where are you kind of at in terms of center field entering this busy stretch?
Well, I mean, there's going to be, again, some opportunities. And for me, there was a little strategy involved down in Tucson at High Corbett Field. Their left field porch is arguably bigger than center field there. So I felt real good with Landon playing left field there and moving Tuego to center the day I got Polk in there and put him in right. Matt Polk can play any of those 3 positions as well. A lot of it will depend on the ballpark we're playing at, and see who is a good matchup offensively, and then where the outfielders fit best defensively. So, we'll see probably all 3 of the guys you mentioned, or maybe even 4 of them, throughout the remainder of these next couple weeks, just to see how things shake up. And again, I'm searching for that hot bat right now, and the way Matt Polk swung it the other day. He's going to be in the lineup tomorrow again, but we do have to be careful with some other guys health-wise and making sure we're trying to get ahead of New Contreras' hamstring injury that is still there. It's not fully healed, and this might be a week where we may give him a breather on one or maybe even both of these midweek games, so we can really try to get ahead of that and get him healthy to get him back where he can start stealing bases and running again, because that's just a big part of our offense that's missing right now. So we have a lot of decisions to make that are behind the scenes, but nonetheless, we're trying to make calculated and do the right ones.
It helps that you have so much depth, right? That is always a friend of any head coach, and you guys have that at so many different positions, certainly in the outfield as well. That does it for segment number 1. We'll let Coach step off to the side. When we come back, you mentioned hot bats. Dominic Smaldino will join us on the desk. He's coming off of a fantastic Game 3 performance against U of A. All that and more when we come back on Dugout Chatter. Back here on Dugout Chatter from Blanco Cocina and Cantina on KDUS AM 1060. Braiden Bell now joined alongside Sun Devil first baseman. He is the pride of Southern California. He is a Sun Devil by way of Cal Berkeley. He's found himself home, and he's having a really good season as the first baseman for ASU. Dominic Smaldino joins us on the program. Dominic, thanks for joining us tonight, man.
Thanks for having me.
So let's dive in right away. Awesome game for you against Arizona. 4 for 5, 6 RBIs, 2-run shot, a RBI double in there as well in the series finale down in Tucson. Clearly, things kind of opened up for you offensively in that game. How good did that feel to just really shine on a big stage?
Oh, it felt good. I'd been struggling a little bit before, getting hits, but not doing quite what I know I can do, but I think it just started from the get-go. Our whole offense shined. First inning, 6 runs. First hitter, one after the other. I think all around it was everyone shined. It was all the way through, so it was really fun to be a part of that, and I know it's something we can do on a daily basis.
I'm curious, you mentioned maybe not the offensive numbers in terms of the power, I'm assuming, so far this year for you. Your line drive numbers are way up from your previous years at Cal. So you've still been hitting the ball hard. The power just hasn't been there. In terms of your approach and just trying to stay with it day in and day out, where are you at kind of in terms of your season thus far?
So, it's been a work in progress, but, as a team, we talk about approach day in and day out, and like you saw on Saturday, when we really commit to it, for all 9 innings, and you saw the results. So, for me personally, though, it's been a work in progress, and I think I really tapped into what I can do on Saturday, and I know I can maintain it, and I know we can all maintain it. So, looking forward to keep on doing that.
Mentioned Dominic Smaldino, our guest here on Dugout Chatter. Sticking with the approach, as you said, is a massive part of this program. Willie brings it up almost every single week on this program, and clearly, like you said, you guys were able to stick to that approach at-bat to at-bat all the way through Game 3 against Arizona. I'm curious not only in terms of the offensive approach, but just the mentality. After such a tough loss to the Wildcats the day before, where Cole pitched maybe his best game yet, he was nasty all the way through, got away from you guys late. That's a tough loss on the road. You guys bounced back and, like you said, put up a 6 spot in the first inning, really put away U of A right out of the gates. Was that more mentality focused for you guys to be able to come out swinging in such a big way in Game 3?
Absolutely. We know we have the physical capability. It was really just the mental was the thing missing. After we got up 4-0 in Game 2 on Friday, we kind of just thought it was going to be handed to us and kind of just coasted. And then, you saw what happened. It kind of hit us right in the face real quick. And so we made it really our goal and our mission, and we sure did it on Saturday, to never coast. Inning after inning, we kept on coming. So that was just a big thing. Just keep on going and never stopping.
It's your first year in this program, playing your first series as a member of the Territorial Cup down in Tucson. Mm-hmm. It is a lively crowd, maybe not so much over the weekend because of the Final Four that was happening. Their basketball fans were gone for the most part. But in terms of playing down there,
yes.
I know they had their football team up on the dugout for an inning. That got a little bit annoying, I'm sure. But overall, what were your takeaways from playing against U of A down there?
It's a different atmosphere. I definitely, no disrespect, but I like it up here a lot more. But, it got rowdy, especially that Friday when you alluded to the football team. I think we kind of we got a little unfocused because of that. And, we kind of paid the price for it that day. But the next day, nothing was going to stop us. And, you saw the result.
I'm curious in terms of just your overall weekend. As we mentioned, it was a big game in the series finale where everything kind of came together for you. But you picked up a hit in all 3 games, hits in the first 2 as well. Just in terms of how you're feeling at the plate, you mentioned just trying to lock some things in as we're now into the second half of the year. And as we just mentioned in segment 1 of the show, it's such a busy schedule coming up, yes. 6 games in 7 days. How are you feeling inside the box right now leading into that busy stretch?
I feel really good. This whole season I've tried to stay relaxed at the plate, but I've kind of figured out, especially after on Saturday, that that's not really who I am as a person. It never has been. I play better when I'm not tense but intense, and that's really was my focus on Saturday. And as of right now, I'm feeling great and looking forward to keep on the intensity as we get into this busy stretch here.
Joined here by Sun Devil first baseman Dominic Smaldino. I kind of want to get a follow-up question on that then, because you always hear players saying, I want to play loose.
Yeah.
Might not be the case for you. So what is it about playing not tense, but intense,
yes.
right? Very different things.
Yes.
Playing intense that makes you play your best baseball, do you think?
I think it just gives me more focus and more intent, and gets me to stop thinking so much about what pitch might be coming, what pitch might be thrown, where it might be thrown, all of that stuff. So it really just gets me focused on the present and on the pitcher, because at the end of the day, it's you versus him. So it really gets me focused and stop thinking about pitches and result and, be in the present.
This is such an interesting ball club this year. There are 2 sets of transfers coming over from the same school. UNLV with Dean Toigo and Alex Overbay, and then Cal, of course, with yours truly and PJ Moutsaritas. Yeah. Coming over from Cal to ASU, former conference rivals, now ACC, Big 12, craziness, of course.
Yes.
But in terms of you guys coming over, both having that familiarity with each other, I know you guys roommates, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys are still very, very close. How much easier did that make that process in terms of coming over from another program into another, but still having your guy PJ Moutsaritas?
It was exciting. When we were going through the whole process of, transitioning over here, it made it even more exciting, to know that I had somebody else coming in, someone familiar, that I could just continue with, We had a good relationship over at Cal that we built over those 2 years. Had a couple classes together, so that helped too. And, it made it even easier to transition over here. It's been super easy with this team at the beginning of the year to, become part of the team. And this place really feels at home, home.
Perfect segue. You're good at this media stuff. It might feel like home because your mom's an alum.
That's right.
So an Arizona State alum, so you know Arizona State, you have for a very, very long time. What's your earliest memory of Arizona State?
Man, I must have been I've always had a pretty good memory. I must have been like 5 years old when I think it was over on College Avenue. There used to be a port of subs over there.
Okay.
And I remember walking around with my family going right along. I think there's over by Snooze and the over by University House. I remember that from when I was like, I must have been 5, really young. So that was my earliest memory, you know.
That's pretty awesome, and I'm sure she was excited to get you in the maroon and gold as well.
Yeah.
What when you kind of were going through the process, as you said, in the portal, and you ultimately decided, all right, ASU's where I'm going to commit, that's where I'm going to go. What was her initial reaction?
Yeah, she still says it today that it's so surreal that I go here because she was involved in a lot of things here. Like she worked at the ticket office at the baseball games when she was here, went to school here. And yeah, we talk about it all the time. When she sees me in that jersey, it's just, she still can't believe it, you know, even today. So, yeah, it's like it was meant to be. And, I mean, like I said before, this place is home.
That's really cool. Dominic Smaldino, first baseman, joining us here on Dugout Chatter. You hail from Southern California, even though you just called the Valley home, and we love to hear that. But you played high school baseball in, I'm going to go ahead and say, the best high school baseball league there is in the country, the Trinity League. Jay Serra, and you had a ton of success winning back-to-back CIF Southern Sectional Championships. That's really big time for those that don't know it. It is a absolute grueling league you were in. How much fun when you think back to those moments, right? Everyone always loves their high school days and talking about those, of course, but you got to play some of the best baseball in the country. How cool was that to compete at Jay Serra?
Man, it was just, it wouldn't have been as special without the teams that we did it with, you know. And I think back to those days a lot, you know, even today. And, man, I miss it. It's you know, close relationships that I'll have forever. And, you know, a lot of the teams and players that we played there are some of the best players in the college game now, even a couple in pro ball too. So, yeah, just thinking back to those days in the competitive environment as well, I think it really prepared me for, or the closest thing to Division I college baseball. So, you know, it's something that I want to do with this team too. You know, I think we have a really tight-knit group of guys that you know, are truly like brothers to me. So I'm looking at it, really excited to do it with this group as well. You know, it's a special group. That was a special time, and I'd love to do it now too. Dominic
Smaldino joining us on the program. A couple more questions for you before we let you go here. As you just said, it's such a special process, and it is not true that every team is like a brotherhood. It's just not how it is in sports if you're being real. But it does seem as though, talking to enough of you week after week, that this is a really close group, which is impressive considering the amount of transfers that you have, but it's an experienced group. What about it, in terms of the camaraderie in the clubhouse, or obviously just the physical talent as well, leads you to believe that you guys can do something special that maybe this program hasn't done in a while?
Yeah, you know, I've been on teams before throughout my whole life where it's just you guys hang out at the ball field, and that's it. And the best teams I've been a part of, the two teams I had in high school, were hanging outside the field all the time. And so that's what we do, whether it's our FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, or, you know, just going to go eat. We come in this area to eat a lot. And, you know, it's stuff like that, or going to, say, a Diamondbacks game together.
Sure.
Or that's what's nice about this place. There's a lot to do here, so we like to do stuff outside of the field as well all the time. So that definitely contributes.
Yeah, that camaraderie seems like it's real, and it's really fun to watch you guys play. And I know, you know, it's been a grind of a season so far, but it seems like you're finding your footing over there at first base and at the batter's box as well. And this is the time to find it, right? Going into the final stretch of the year, back half of the schedule as well, and a busy stretch ahead. Dominic, been a lot of fun watching you so far this year, man, and thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we've got Dominic Smaldino. He did his thing. Well, when we come back, we've got the fireman out of the bullpen for Sun Devil baseball. Sean Fitzpatrick will join us when we come back. Back here on Dugout Chatter from Blanco Cocina Cantina on KDUS AM 1060. Your host, Braiden Bell, joined alongside our next guest, and he's one of the leaders of this squad, and he's certainly one of the leaders of the bullpen as well. A lefty out of the state of Texas originally, Sean Fitzpatrick joining us on the program. Sean, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me. It's awesome.
So pretty exciting stuff in terms of your role for this team. I alluded to it at the end of the last segment, is the fireman. Sometimes you're coming in some spots where it's pretty sticky, right? There might be some guys on base. There might be a deficit or a really close lead that you're having to try to mend to. It's a job where you've got to be locked in right when you come in, and you kind of had that role all the way through your time here at ASU. In terms of slowing things down mentally, I've always wondered, what are you telling yourself when you're running in from the bullpen into the mound, regardless of situation?
I mean, for me, it just kind of depends on the situation. Every game's a little bit different. Sometimes I have a couple extra pitches in the bullpen to warm up. Sometimes it's get them hot for, the dude that's in the hole. I kind of like it when it's a little more like you got to go and be ready to go in a couple pitches for me. But, the mentality when I enter the game doesn't change. It's just executing whatever pitch is called and kind of having my attack plan and going and competing with my stuff because I have confidence in my ability to get guys out. So, just knowing that and then, executing what pitch is called.
I love talking to you out of uniform, right? Because you are such an intense guy on the mound. You wear your heart on your sleeve. You'll scream and holler after a big strikeout or getting through a situation. I talk to you here. You're as calm as can be. How do you flip that switch into such an emotional guy on the mound?
I don't know. I think that just is the love I have for the game of baseball and just like being a competitor. I just enjoy playing the game of baseball, and anytime I get the opportunity to help us win a game, like I'm going to be pretty fired up if it's a big spot, anytime you get to play baseball is a pretty big blessing in and of itself. So just enjoying the moments each time,
In terms of this year so far for you, 2026, we knew it was a big year, of course, being your senior season, but coming off of a year last year where the numbers were not quite great in terms of what maybe we expect from someone like yourself, but this year, from the word go, right, you've been locked in, you've been doing your thing, you've been pitching in big spots and shining in big spots as well. How pleased are you with the start you've had to this season?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really look at like my personal stuff that much. I honestly don't really care about it. I'm more concerned on, our performance as a team and if we're winning or losing and how we're playing and how we're going about our business. The rest takes care of itself. Like, when he tells me that or gives me the ball, like it's my job to go and execute whatever pitches are called for however many it is, whether it's a hit or an inning or 2 innings or whatever the case may be. But it just, looking at it that way helps a lot just because, like, I'm just trying to do my job and get it to the next guy after me or whatever the case may be and just put us in a position to win that game.
Lefty pitcher Sean Fitzpatrick joining us here on Dugout Chatter. Sean, quite an honor that you were dealt before the season in being a team captain. One of two, just brought back into the program this year, yourself along with New Contradas, voted unanimously, which first off says a lot about your character and news as well, of course. How much did that mean to you when it was first voted upon, and how much pride do you take knowing that that's your role each and every day?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest blessings I ever had. Ended up transferring here. Obviously started at the University of Arkansas, and I'm thankful for my time there and the knowledge that I gained from just watching so many high level pitchers. But I'm a Sun Devil through and through, and being able to have that honor of stepping up and helping us establish a culture that this program deserves and what belongs and how this program should go about our business. It's an honor, and it's one of the coolest things so far I've had in my life. So.
And I think similar to what we were talking about with Dominic in the last segment of the camaraderie you guys have, it's easy to say that for every team. But as you just said, a badge of honor, I can tell just by the way you say it, you mean that. Like, this program really does mean something special to you. And I think so many times in college athletics nowadays, fans from the outside might think these guys don't really care about the university. You do. Why does ASU matter to Sean Fitzpatrick?
It matters to me a little bit. I just was talking to Bloomy. My grandpa went to ASU when it was Arizona State College.
Okay.
So have a little bit of history here. My dad went here for a year, but that was just kind of full circle coming back here. But one of the main reasons like it means so much to me is because like something I didn't have previously was, like, I know how much it means to Bloomy. And when you know how much it means to Bloomy and the coaches that are on that staff, like, it makes you want to play for them, and you understand who you're playing for and why you're doing it. And so that's the main, like, why on how much this program means. And then also, like, you know, you look at Muni in the outfield and the walls, the national championships, College World Series appearances, like, that's what this program deserves and what the expectation is, and, like, we all just want to be a part of returning it to where it, you know, belongs.
Yeah, trying to get back to those grand stages, right, that this program has been so used to getting to over the course of decades now at this point, but trying to get back there for the first time in a long time this year, and you guys certainly have the talent to do it. You're going to play a big role in that, though, in terms of your role as one of only 2 lefties in the bullpen. So, you know, your availability throughout a weekend is something that I know Bloomy has talked a lot about. He knows that you're going to be ready to go probably 2 times a weekend if needed, and especially entering a stretch where you guys are playing a bunch of midweek games as well. You're going to be used several times throughout this week. What do you do in terms of your you know, taking care of your arm, taking care of your body, making sure you're ready to go? Because it does seem as though even though you might come in for short bursts here and there, you're still able to pitch multiple times a weekend, and not everyone's able to do that. Yeah,
it definitely, you know, adds up. Like, it doesn't matter how many times or how many hitters you face or how many pitches you throw. Just getting hot and the adrenaline dump and then all that, like, it's still high effort, you know, high intent throws. But I mean, the biggest thing for recovery is sleep. Like, the more you sleep, like, even, you know, just for people that are not playing baseball, like, sleep's the most important thing in the world. So I just make sure to get sleep, drink a lot of water, eat right, and then I have a bunch of mobility stuff that I do to keep ranges of motions in check, and then pre-throw, post-throw, just you have to be diligent about it, because, like, again, like you said, like, my job is to be available multiple times, and that's, you know, going back to, like, trying to help us win, like, that is my job. So I'd be doing us a disservice to the team if I'm not taking care of my body the right way. So
Sean Fitzpatrick joining us here. I want to make some of our listeners and viewers envious, because maybe they aren't so lucky to get as much sleep. How much sleep do you average a night?
Oh, probably about 8+.
Okay, that's not outrageous.
No, it's not crazy. I mean, some days, you know, close. I try not to sleep, because there is a fine line of feeling like ready to go. If I sleep 10 hours, sometimes I don't feel like completely ready to go.
Yeah.
But just trying to get your 8 hours, 8+. The more you have, like, around that number is pretty good for getting the inflammation down.
We'll keep the sleep talk into overtime segment of the program tonight, Dugout Chatter. We'll get back into the baseball portion right now. In terms of, you know, getting yourself ready for this season, I know it's been talked about in terms of you bulking up, adding some velocity to your arsenal this year, and it's shown in terms of your success that you've had. You're not a guy that's going to blow people away with 98 like a Cole Carlon, but any tick in velocity with your movement, your command, obviously that helps everything. Take us through that process through the offseason where you're able to bulk up a bit and, you know, add some of that velocity and overall just, you know, build some muscle mass as well.
Yeah, Jeremy always makes a joke. I ate a bunch of dates. Like, in the morning, I would eat like 8 dates, which, like, a couple dates are like 140 calories. So, like, I'm bagging some calories pretty early with the dates. But that's, like, just a running joke that we have. But to be honest, it sucked for the 2 months, because I was eating a bunch of food, and it was hard. But it was something I needed to do, again, you know, to put myself in a position to help us win and become a better baseball player. And that was one of the lowest hanging fruits for me. So, you know, I ate a bunch. I lifted 4 times a week. I was lucky enough. I lived with Josiah Cromwick, who played on the team last year.
Sure.
And so he was kind of my partner in the weight room, and he pushed me pretty good, which was nice. It's always nice having someone in the weight room to push you. So having him there, and, I mean, lifted, ate a bunch, still played catch, and just, you know, this is what I'm going to do. Put my, you know, set my mind to it, and, you know, ended up working out real well. So
how much weight did you end up putting on after all was said and done before the year?
15 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a lot, and it was about 2 months. So it came on pretty fast, which is awesome. Yeah, I was just shooting for, you know, anything, but 15 was a lot better than I thought.
Yeah, so. No doubt about it. And like we said, that's really shown through for you guys. In terms of the bullpen overall, college baseball is such a tough sport, especially for pitchers nowadays. The offenses seem to put up a lot of big numbers, and you're going to have good days in the bullpen, you're going to have bad days in the bullpen, and that's regardless of level. Even at the major league level, of course, that happens. But in terms of this group this year, in what you guys might be able to do come postseason play, or even just down the stretch in the regular season as well, what about this group gives you confidence that you guys can be a difference maker in terms of your team trying to find that ultimate success?
Yeah, I think it's been said a bunch of times, the depth. We have so many guys out there that are capable of going out and getting outs for us. And I just think the mindset of the guys, like, there's no one in the bullpen who's going out there just to, like, hey, I'm going to go and try and, pop a number, get drafted or whatever. Like, we're all there to do our job, whether it's an out or, 4 innings out of the bullpen. Like, whatever it needs, like to be done, we're going to go out there and do it. And so having that mindset and then just going out and attacking and having the confidence in our stuff that, we can go and get the job done.
Last one for you, Sean. In terms of this club, right, it is an experienced group. The position players, you're going to deal with a lot of upperclassmen. Same with the pitching staff. Most of the arms we're seeing are either juniors or seniors like yourself. If you had to kind of sum up this group, you can take this however you want to, whether it's on the field, off the field, in the clubhouse, just mentality-wise. This 2026 iteration of Arizona State baseball, a group that hopes to get the program back to where it hasn't been in a long time. How would you sum up this group?
This group is the first one that I've been a part of that I would say, like, pretty much up and down, we're all competitors, and that's something that's really, really nice to see because obviously, like you said, not every day you're going to go out there and have your best success, whether it may be, at the plate or on the mound or whatever it may be. But there's not guys that are playing for themselves on this team. We're all pulling on the right string, pulling for the same goal. And that's always encouraging. And it's something that I'm super, super excited and proud of to be a part of because really haven't had that in a while. And so it's nice to see, all of us pulling on the same rope. So super, super encouraging for that.
It's been fun to watch you guys play, Sean, and not only are you a part of it, you are a team captain. And, again, that just needs to be reiterated because it's an honor, like you said. I can't imagine what it feels like, but clearly it's something that needs to be appreciated as well by this fan base. And, Sean, it's been awesome to watch you play here. Like you said, didn't start with this program, but you're a Sun Devil through and through.
100%.
And it's awesome to see, man, and continued success moving forward throughout the rest of the year.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll be back to wrap things up on the program tonight with Willie Bloomquist when we return on Dugout Chatter. Back here on Dugout Chatter from Blanco Cocina and Cantina on KDUS AM 1060. Braiden Bell rejoined alongside ASU baseball coach Willie Bloomquist. And, Coach, we've talked a lot about the schedule coming up, and, of course, the focus might – for fans go to the weekend series, the conference series. Of course, those are easy to talk about. But these midweek games as well, they affect the RPI. They obviously still count in the record book, and they are games you want to win. And this year, you guys have had a lot more success than you did, let's say, last year in these midweek games. A couple more big ones in terms of this week. Of course, like we said, with GCU, cross-town rival, if you will. And then UNLV, who you guys played a barn burner with a couple of weeks ago in Vegas in a game that got close late. How important mentality-wise are these ones? Obviously, when it comes down to the nitty-gritty in the NCAA tournament, like we said, these matter a lot.
Yeah, the wins pile up and they stack up. It's nice to get, when you come out on the winning side of those games, they're big, and they can really hurt you if you don't. And kind of you alluded to the RPI. Those things matter when you win these games. Again, they pile up the win total and they start looking at teams with win-loss records at the end, whether they're in the field of 64 or they're in the conversation of hosting. That's the first thing to look at. How many wins do you have? And then strength of schedule and all that stuff is factored in as well. But for me, these are important just to continue playing good baseball, continue to drive home the fundamentals of things. And the results will take care of themselves. And those are things we try to preach upon. You learn from, this past weekend, the things we did well, the things we didn't do well, where we got to brush up and get better at. And you hope that those carry over into the midweek games and continue to show improvement. And then, the following weekend, you work on those things as well. So it's always a continuous grind, a continuous battle. But the main thing for me is our guys show up ready to play mentally, and they stay focused on what they're doing, and hopefully again the wins will take care of themselves.
Zooming out just a little bit, obviously this conference, we knew it was going to be tough, but there is not very much separation whatsoever. You guys right now sitting 3 games back at first. That can shift in a heartbeat with UCF on top. But also, it's just 2 games back all the way down to 11. So it's really, really congested. Still pretty early on in conference play, of course. In terms of the Big 12 thus far, though, has there been anything that's really surprised you in terms of the league? It just seems like it's week in and week out, anything can happen.
Yeah, it's one of those leagues that there isn't a whole lot of weak links, I guess, for lack of a better term. There's a lot of parity top to bottom. Anybody can beat anybody. You take in a team like Oklahoma State, and after the first few weeks of the season, like, they're a little down this year. They're not playing well, and then you blink your eyes, and they're 20-11, and they sweep last weekend. They're right in the middle of everything, and it's like, go figure. They're going to get hot just in time to play us again. And you start looking at our schedule and go, man, there is not any easy weekends that we have. And I think but other teams got to say the same thing. So it's one that you can't literally go into a weekend feeling, okay, this is going to be a deep breath weekend. We can get right against this team. It's a dogfight, everyone, and you got to come ready to play every weekend.
You'll have another dogfight in terms of Utah this weekend, a squad that was just swept on the road against Kansas, but we were talking about it before we started the show tonight. It was a series in which was pretty tightly contested all the way through. They've got a solid offense, so it'll be a test for your pitching staff, of course, this weekend at home. Luckily, it shouldn't be too hot. That'll help things a little bit. But overall, in terms of Utah, I know you've got some midweek games before that, but just kind of what you've seen from them so far this year and from years past as well, what sticks out to you about Utah?
Oh, their Friday night starter is very, very good. He's a guy that has beaten a lot of really good teams throughout his career. He's an experienced kid and has really good stuff. And the thing I've been noticing, I haven't really taken a deep dive into them yet, so to speak, just because we have games prior to them. But what I do notice on the scores is that they're putting up some runs and they're swinging the bat. And as are a lot of teams in our conference, they're swinging the sticks pretty good. So I know we're going to have to do a good job on the mound and throw a lot of strikes, work ahead, not give up a lot of free bases if we can help it, play good defense behind the pitching staff. And then, on the flip side, they are giving up some runs. So hopefully our offense comes ready to play and outslug them a little bit if we have to.
Chatting with head coach Willie Bloomquist here on our final segment of the show tonight on Dugout Chatter. We were just chatting with Sean Fitzpatrick, and as I said in the interview, it's really cool because you can tell that he's passionate about this place, that he cares about this place, and that he wants this program to succeed in such a big way. For you, not only as head coach, but as we've talked about so many times, an alum of this program, someone who cares about ASU as a brand and not only as a baseball program, but as a university as a whole. What's it like to see one of your team captains, someone who transferred into this program, and Sean Fitzpatrick, really seem to feel a similar way that you do about ASU?
Well, to me, it's awesome. That's what you want as a head coach in today's world where there is a lot of shifting universities and transferring to other schools, and you have those type of kids that have jumped a time or two to have Fitzy that things didn't work out at Arkansas, but come to us and really dive 2 feet into our program and our culture and what we're doing. To me, that's ultimately what it's all about. When these kids leave here after 3 or 4 years, sometimes 5 years, when they leave, I want them to leave footprints here. I want them to be able to look back and say, man, those were the best 3 or 4 or 5 years of my life, and I would give anything to go back and do that experience all over again. To me, then we've done our job as coaches, and that's when I look back and giving Murph a shout out. I didn't want to leave, after 3 years. It was too soon to leave and go play pro ball. And after I left Arizona State, there wasn't a day that went by where I'm like, man, I wish I could go back there and do that all over again. In large part by the program that he built and really the mentality it took to be a part of a special program. It's not for everybody. Playing baseball, especially at Arizona State, is not for everybody in the country. It's for those select few that dedicate and go above and beyond and want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. You can have a program with a bunch of individual guys that care about only themselves and their own accolades, and it's not very special. They don't ever really want to be a part of that again. But if you build a foundation and a core where you have guys like Fitzy and Biggie Smalls, and you have the Josh Butlers of the world, you have the Halversons, these Cole Carlons, guys that have been here that just really truly bleed maroon and gold. That makes the program special, and you don't want to leave it. And to me, that's when you start getting something that's going to roll and be meaningful for these guys, not only here but when they leave here.
It's going to roll. It's going to be meaningful. Seems like you are speaking as if this group has that. Would you agree that you guys have kind of that magic sauce in terms of the culture?
Well, I think the culture is great. I think the internal workings of our clubhouse are probably in its healthiest place it's been. Is it perfect? No. I mean, there's still some things we have to get better at, but it's the best it's been since I've been here. And the culture keeps moving forward and keeps evolving year after year after year and getting better and better. And I'm hoping it's better next year than it is this year. I hope guys keep learning from it and understand that it's okay to hold each other accountable for things. And if there is a little friction on, at times, it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying I want them to drag each other out to the woodshed and bust up teeth and give each other black eyes. But every once in a while, you're going to have friction on good teams because guys care and guys want it done right. And there has been that this year on our team. And there's been some people, that have raised eyebrows like, gosh, you're two of your big leaders are kind of going at each other. It's like, yeah, that's good. And I don't mind that. That's as long as they don't hurt each other, that's good. They actually care and they're wanting to get better. And so long as that culture keeps evolving and the accountability stays there, and guys are caring about the right things, this place has a chance to, again, bring in the right type of kids that fit into that mold. We have a chance to be successful. And again, in today's world, we are going to need culture over everything else because, as I mentioned before, we can't go out and buy our players. We have to form that type of culture to where it breeds the right type of kid.
And it seems like you said, just talking to enough of these guys, they are echoing the same things that you're saying, and that self-policing nature as well that is important to any sport, not just baseball, right? You got to hold each other accountable sometimes. In terms of this squad on the base pass, I've been meaning to ask you this for a while, and I know it's kind of dovetailing off of our last subject, but it's been an aggressive unit. I know you guys go first to third more so than almost anyone in college baseball. It has its benefits. Sometimes there have been some, base runners thrown out in some games this year as well. Is it all about just trying to take that extra 90? It seems as though putting pressure on the defense has been really something you guys have emphasized.
Well, for me, it's making aggressive. If you're going to make mistakes, make them aggressive. Are we going to be perfect? No. We're going to make some stupid mistakes, and it's going to look at times, I've heard from fans in the stands, it's going to look ugly at times, and that's okay. But as long as they're aggressive mistakes and we are doing it with the intent to put pressure on the defense. We've had some guys thrown out at the plate, and I've stood behind not only our players but also our coaching staff and said, no, I want you to send them right there just from a standpoint of we have to make teams make plays against us. And the more uncomfortable we can make a defense, whether like they're going to run and do all, bunch of different things on us and create and make us make plays, then good. We got them where we want them. And that's something as of late, to be perfectly honest, we talked about it today at practice. Just we've gotten a little bit lazy on it. We've gotten a little bit complacent on the base running and base stealing things, where we haven't been able to get the free bags as much as I want to. And just getting back on emphasizing the details of base running a little bit more. Again, I would like to spend a little more time on that today, but there's a fine line between, we have a lot of games coming up, getting them off their feet, but also just reminding them on the importance of base running and what that means and what kind of pressure that puts on a defense. Yeah, there's no question, and at times we've seen it pay off both ways, right? Of course, the glaring fans are going to point out when things don't go your way, but it's also led to a bunch of runs and errors on the opposing defenses as well that needs to be talked about in that same breath, even though, sometimes it's easy to overlook those as well from an outsider's perspective. Before we let you go, we'll give you a schedule update, and I know we've talked about it a lot through the weekend, of course, but it is a jam-packed schedule for the Sun Devils. Of course, the game against GCU on Tuesday, as we said. Wednesday at home against UNLV. First pitch will be at 6:35. And then over the weekend, Friday through Sunday against Utah. The first two on Friday and Saturday at 6:35. Sunday at 1:05. And then the Territorial Cup
finale, Game 5 of the series against Arizona, next Monday on the 13th of April. First pitch at 6:35 in that one. Busy stretch ahead, Coach. Good luck throughout the rest of this week, and we'll chat with you next Tuesday after all is said and done. Hopefully a bunch of wins and a nice home stretch. You don't have to leave the state for a while as well. It's got to be nice.
No, that's going to be great. And I've said this before. I'll say it again. The fans that are coming out have been outstanding, and I'll reiterate that we get continued phenomenal fans even on midweek games. We've been getting big crowds. I keep urging you to keep come out. You keep watching our guys play. It's a special team. We got some special individual talents going on, but more importantly, it's a team that's playing hard, and we've been having phenomenal fan support. We ask you to please keep coming out. It's been great to have you out there. The atmosphere has been electric out at Muni. We want to keep it that way. Against UNLV, of course, against Utah, and then the finale of the homestand against the Kitty Cats. So those will all be fun ones. So we ask you to keep please coming out and supporting our guys.
It's a fun team to watch, folks. And yeah, if you haven't made it out in a while, or if you're there every game, regardless, keep showing up or show up for the first time. Big thank you to our guest tonight, Willie. Thanks as always, and we'll be back with you next Tuesday for another edition of Dugout Chatter. So long.